So it's been 1 year to the day since the release of Planetside 2. It's been an interesting time. I suppose I can take some time to reflect on the direction Planetside 2 has gone in the past year. Some of it for the better, but some of it I feel also for the worse. There are some issues I have with Planetside 2, some new, some present a year ago, so let's talk about them for a few minutes. In the past year, there have been many patches, many updates. They've done a lot to spruce up the game, make it run smoother, optimize it, and I feel that's where most of the patching effort's been directed over the course of the past year, and the game has taken steps forward in that regard. Still, Planetside 2 is anything but a bug-free game. Just yesterday I encountered another invisible galaxy, and I still haven't sorted out my FOV problem with the game yet. I feel Planetside 2 is really still a game that's in beta, kinda like a game that did beta on the fly, I suppose. And there have been a lot of improvements along the way, especially after the January Ultimate Empire Showdown, clearly displaying how badly some of that optimization was needed. And there have been some new guns and such, but really, I don't think Planetside 2 is a complete game. I still see it as if it's in beta. I don't really feel there's enough kit customization or diversity in the game, nor do I feel faction flavor is sufficiently different. Like in one of the videos on the Planetside 2 channel, there's T-Ray talking about a life-sucking grenade that Vanu players would get. And at that moment, when I was watching the video, I was like, that's it, that's my faction. I'm going to be playing Vanu when this game comes out. They sound like my kind of guys. Advanced alien technology, crazy weapons that do stuff that's totally off the wall, life-sucking grenades and the like. That's totally my faction. I am without a doubt going to be playing Vanu. But as it turns out, I went TR. Why? Because they had better light assault carbines. Their faction bonus was some extra bullets for carbines, and as a light assault player, that worked out very well for me. And that alone pretty much determined that I'd be a TR player. And where's the life-sucking grenade? It's not in the game. It doesn't exist. Where's the crazy alien technology for the Vanu? It's not there. What about the other factions? Does the NC get awesome improvised weapons that let them do unique stuff, like making an IED time bomb, or something freaky and rebel in nature like that? Well, no. And what about the Terran Republic? They got all the traditional weapons, but that's not special either, because everyone has traditional weapons. There are some minor differences in the weapons each infantryman has between the factions, but none of those guns feel special or unique. None of the infantry tools do either. How about the Vanu get life-sucking grenades that get a bigger and bigger blast radius and do more and more damage depending on how many people are nearby, but couldn't kill a full health target if only one person is in the blast radius, making them the weakest grenade if hitting one person, but the strongest of all grenades if, say, 3 or more people are hit. And the NC get improvised explosive grenades, which are more powerful than the default frag grenade, but have a chance to malfunction, and an individual grenade may have a shorter or longer detonation fuse, or some other sort of balancing factor. And the TR have the traditional frag grenades, which are basically the grenades we have now, and are not as lethal as the NC explosions, but a lot more consistent in comparison, and have no risk of malfunctioning and blowing up in your hand. We don't have that. We don't really have faction flavor, at least the infantry don't. We have some marginally different infantry weapons, but that's about it. Most of our tools are exactly the same. All light assaults have C4, they don't get faction-specific gadgets or tools, no one gets a powerful time bomb of some sort or variant explosive, they all just get C4. Worse is that C4 is all a light assault player can get. They have no other gadgets or options. And what about the certifications? What happened to the permacloak for infiltrators that would only allow you to use a pistol and a knife? What about the knife certification to make knifing more viable for infiltrators? What about the Icarus jump jets for light assaults? What about the nanovirus applicator for medics? None of these things made it to launch, and now, a year later, they're all still absent. All three factions have the same grenades, the same access to flashbangs and EMPs, the same anti-tank mines, the same C4. I guess to some extent the infiltrator anti-infantry mines are slightly different, but that's a generous statement. I feel, as far as infantry are concerned, the game's still very much incomplete. And in some categories I think they've actually stepped backwards instead of forwards. I don't really think the design philosophy adopted when it comes to infantry in Planetside 2 is a good one. The logic is that in Planetside 2 you have massive battles of potentially hundreds of players, and though I don't often see big battles, and more often see a big army conducting a one-sided stomp, I sometimes do get to see a nice, reasonably balanced battle from time to time. In those, I'm perpetually frustrated as a light assault player that I don't have enough C4 to be useful. The argument that has always been presented to me is that Planetside 2 is about having really big armies. You're not supposed to be able to destroy the enemy attacking force by yourself. You're supposed to need your teammates. Which is a very fanboyish and irrational argument. There's supposed to be several enemy Sunderers and dozens of tanks, often crewed by a single individual, therefore I'm supposed to be not kept at the level of effectiveness of equivalent FPS, but made worse and artificially limited to be unable to destroy multiple tanks at a time? There are supposed to be dozens of tanks instead of 1 or 2, therefore you should be nerfed to make sure you not only can't kill 2 or 3 of them, but can only kill 1 at most? When these tanks still only require 1 person to crew? When it costs resources to use C4 to destroy them? How does that make any sense? A light assault can only carry 2 C4 bricks, enough to destroy 1 main battle tank nowadays. Not only am I restricted to destroying only 1 tank without having to go resupply, assuming I don't lose resources on a tossed but non-usable C4 brick, the justification for why I am supposed to be limited in comparison to other big FPS games is that there's more tanks. The reason I shouldn't be able to C4 destroy a Sunderer is because there's more Sunderers? With no death tickets, infantry are entirely disposable in Planetside 2, sure, but mass reductions to their effectiveness shouldn't be the reason I need more teammates. The fact your side has 12 tanks should be the reason I need more teammates, not the fact that your side has 2 tanks, your team was inept enough to allow 1 person to C4 them, and that one was artificially stopped from being allowed to destroy them because it was considered overpowered. I feel that a lot of the game's mechanics are arranged to make infantry teammates a requirement, to the point where it's obsessive. Using a normal TR carbine, firing at close range at a no nanoweave target will require 7 bullets to the torso to kill. This is assuming no nanoweave, no damage decay, and no heavy assault shield. The same weapon will require 4 headshots to kill someone. There have been a lot of times where I get the drop on a group of enemies and I just can't kill them because I don't have the tools. I don't have any grenades because I need the resources for C4, I can't C4 them because I need to save that for vehicles or a max unit, and I can't kill them all by getting the drop on them with my carbine because random bullet spread requires that some of my shots miss. It gets to the point where the obsession with having more teammates equaling a victory is making strategy, skill, and tactics less and less of a factor, and for me that makes the game a lot less enjoyable. You should need more teammates because there's dozens and dozens of enemies that you couldn't possibly kill all of them, not because you've been artificially reduced in effectiveness, that you're unable to perform basic tasks and fight even a small portion of them. And let's not forget the nerf light assault players got to fighting aircraft when we went from Liberators being destroyed with 1 well-placed C4 brick to 2 C4 bricks located anywhere being unable to reduce it to a burning state. That's probably one of the most extreme nerfs to take place in the entire game. And why? Think about it for a moment. We're nerfing a planted explosive to prevent them from killing aircraft. How is that possibly justified? It sure doesn't make playing infantry very fun. And what about infiltrators getting C4? Are all of them so crazy overpowered that infiltrators shouldn't get C4? And that brings us to my next point. Each C4 brick costs resources, and if you're fighting on a continent that your team actually needs your help on, your resource gain will go right down the drain. I haven't used a grenade in months because I just can't spare the resources to afford grenades when I need C4. I usually have to pick and choose which vehicles I blow up to see if I can find a slightly damaged and unarmored Sunderer to destroy, or find a tank that seems to be more important than other tanks, because even if I have the opportunity to go resupply, I just can't afford to get the C4 I need most of the time. I have to sit AFK in the warp gate, occasionally jumping continents, just to get C4 bricks, after deliberately avoiding killing enemy vehicles on a consistent basis to search for other targets. I've said since launch day that I thought the resource system was BS, and if included, should be a gain from all the territory you control, not just the continent you happen to be fighting on, and I still say that. Overall, Planetside 2 does not provide me with an enjoyable experience. I haven't quit playing the game. I'm hoping Hassan and the Battle Islands change things around. I'm hoping things will improve a lot in the upcoming patches, but really I still think Planetside 2 is a game in beta. I don't think the game should be considered content complete. And hopefully that's going to change soon with Hassan and the Battle Islands. I hear that's going to be a pretty big update. But I don't enjoy the infantry combat in the game, and I don't enjoy having to constantly AFK to farm up resources to be able to do my job as a light assault, while already working to conserve C4 and never using grenades. And when beta originally started, I was absolutely certain I would be either a light assault or an infiltrator, and I don't find infiltrator any more appealing. I don't think the classes or factions have enough tools or diversity to be interesting or offer variety of play, at least not to the standard infantryman. I just don't think the game's finished. There's not enough things a class can do. There's not enough variety. The kit customization is rigid and generically designed. My slot for grenades can't be appropriated to carry more C4 because even when I have 0 grenades to use, I just can't change around things in my inventory, and what I enjoyed about the game the most, destroying vehicles with C4, is a feature that's been significantly nerfed. Most of the effort to improving the game seems to be going to optimization and making the game run more efficiently. I suppose class options and the like are being put on the back burner. I suppose I disagree with that as a design philosophy, because for me that makes the game a lot less enjoyable, and everyone needs to find something they like doing or they won't play the game. And hopefully some more attention will be given to the classes fairly soon. Maybe a rework to Light Assault or Infiltrator will show up and I'll like it. Or maybe I'll dip into Medic if they get their nanovirus back, because that sounds interesting to me. I've never really played Medic, but I could be convinced to if they got a nanovirus, if they got something interesting. Anyway, I've got a couple special Planetside 2 videos that I'm working on at the moment, so I'm still around, and I still plan to make Planetside 2 videos. So, here's hoping for a brighter future. And if you'd like a mental exercise for today, then think about ways to make the factions more diverse, or tools and kit items for the classes in Planetside 2 to make their jobs more unique and more interesting, and post your ideas in the comments section below. I'll see you next time. Later, YouTube.